And the DNC has marked a shift in messaging for the Harris campaign. While President Biden's campaign focused heavily on what they called the threat to democracy posed by former President Trump, this convention has focused on an optimistic vision for the future. Let's bring in Harris Walls Campaign Communications Director Michael Tyler now for more on that. Michael, thanks for coming on. I know it's a busy time, but I want to talk about strategy here behind this shift in messaging. Do you worry at all that it could backfire, considering some Americans aren't feeling very optimistic about the future right now?
Well, no, not at all. Listen, I think what you've seen on hand here in Chicago is Democrats who are united in their support for the vice president in this campaign. You've seen Democrats who are united in their vision for where we want to take this country, and that is an optimistic vision of what we can accomplish with Vice President Harris and Governor Walz in the White House, right? Creating an economy where folks have the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. A future where we stand up for our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the rights of women in this country. That is a positive, optimistic vision, and we should be celebrating that vision. And we think it stands in stark contrast to the dark, dangerous, toxic Project 2025 agenda that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have been propagating for months now. I think the American people have already demonstrated that they're sick and tired of that extremism. That's why they rejected it in 2020. It's why they rejected it in the midterms. And they'll reject it again in favor of this positive vision that the vice president, the governor, and Democrats across the country are offering as we head towards Election Day.
And I do feel like we need to point out that Trump has distanced himself from Project 2025. He has said that he doesn't endorse it, so I just want to make that clear. But in an interview with ABC News Live, Senator J.D. Vance criticized the campaign for your campaign for focusing so heavily on Harris's vision for the future, essentially saying that you're focusing on what she'll do because after 3.5 years in the White House, there's not much to say about what she has done. What's your take on that, and what can we expect to hear from Vice President Harris when she takes the stage tonight?
Yeah, well, listen, I think, number one, if you look at the accomplishments of the Biden-Harris administration, the vice president owns those accomplishments. Everything from more than 15 million jobs created under this administration, 800,000 of those being manufacturing jobs. The work that the administration has done to lower costs for Americans already, like capping the cost of insulin at $35 a month for our seniors, capping out-of-pocket prescription drug costs for seniors at $2,000 annually. That is all work that the vice president was integrally a part of. But as you'll continue to see her do tonight, as you saw her do last week in North Carolina, she'll lay out her vision for where she wants to take this country, right? Many Americans are asking for a new way forward, particularly as it relates to our economy, right? That's why she's already talking about doing things like lowering the cost of groceries, taking on meat processors, making sure that we can lower the cost of housing by building new housing, incentivizing it, providing more assistance for first-time home buyers, and making sure that we actually give the middle class a tax cut against what Donald Trump and J.D. Vance want to do, which is raise taxes on the middle class to the tune of $3,900 via their across-the-board tariffs. So this campaign, as all campaigns are about the future. And so the question for the American voter is, who is fighting for you? Who is standing up for your fundamental rights and freedoms? There's only one candidate that is doing that in this race, and that's Kamala Harris. It's certainly not Donald Trump, who is running to serve himself.
And former President Trump is calling Governor Walz a lightweight, saying Minnesota has had nothing but problems under his administration. What's your response to that?
What Minnesota has had in Governor Walz is somebody who was a school teacher, a football coach, a member of the National Guard, a congressman, and a governor who's spent his entire life bringing people together to get things done for the people who he serves. He's always, much like the vice president, has been a fighter for the people that he is serving. I think that stands in stark contrast to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who, whether they want to run away from it or not, J.D. Vance, the poster boy for Project 2025, wrote the foreword to the book for the guy who's the architect of Project 2025. These are people who are running on an agenda that would roll back our fundamental rights and freedoms, that would ban abortion nationwide with or without Congress, whose economic agenda is nothing but a bunch of corporate giveaways and tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy. They're offering absolutely nothing that would actually improve the lives of the American people. So it's no surprise that they would result to personal attacks against our candidates here. But we're not worried about that. We're worried about communicating our positive vision for where we want to take this country over the course of the next 74 days after we leave Chicago.
And, Michael, a group of uncommitted delegates are protesting the DNC's decision to deny their request for a Palestinian speaker to take the stage. Given the campaign's focus on diversity, do you think the DNC committee should reconsider there?
Oh, well, listen, the uncommitted delegates have been an integral part of this convention since Monday. We're proud of the fact that we had a panel conversation with the uncommitted delegates. We're proud that the campaign leadership has engaged with them throughout this convention. The vice president herself has met with leadership from the uncommitted movement. This campaign has continued to engage with them over the course of the past few weeks. And I think what they will see from the vice president, from this campaign, is a candidate who is committed to the goals that they share, right, which is an end to the violence, an end to the suffering, making sure that we get to a permanent ceasefire where we not only bring the hostages home and make sure that Israel is secure, but the people of Gaza can live and thrive peacefully. That is the fundamental goal for which she is fighting, and that's the contrast that we'll put on full display between Kamala Harris, who takes this issue seriously and actually is focused on solving it, and Donald Trump, who approaches every single issue, whether it be economic or national security, through the lens of what serves himself. He's not actually interested and does not have the temperament nor the judgment to serve as commander-in-chief once again. We talked about the Republicans who have been engaged in this convention right now. Many of the people who know Donald Trump best, know his temperament, know the way he makes decisions, are telling the American people that he has no business ever stepping foot in the Oval Office ever again. So it's a contrast that we're comfortable putting front and center for the remainder of this campaign.
All right, Harris Walz campaign communications director Michael Tyler. Thank you, Michael.